How are you?
I'm Jasmine.
I'm Gary. Good
Nice
to
to
meet
meet
you. Gary, good to meet you. How are y'all?
We're doing good. We're excited to have you guys here.
This is beautiful.
Thank you.
So what inspired you?
I guess it started out where we were going to have a brick and mortar, and that kind of went south for us, and then we had to pivot to a different position, and she started doing some research, and one Saturday asked me to help her pick up something, and this was something. It didn't look like this though, it was a horse trailer.
Honestly, we were looking for a pause, like a way to get to a slower point in our life, relax a little bit. I was teaching and he was working in
Commercial banking.
and it was just an opportunity to kind of like slow down.
Yeah. So this is what you guys do full time
That's
now.
what we do now.
All right.
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes.
This is what's up, man.
This is the dream. Yeah.
This is what's up. So is it here all the time, or are you moving?
No,
or
no,
what?
we move it every day. Every day we're in different locations. We're normally around South End, outside of Uptown area, but generally this is where we're. This is where we're now.
So what made y'all do coffee?
Oh man, we love coffee.
Yeah.
We love coffee.
We met over coffee and it always excited us, like watching people do different things with coffee. We were just like geek out about it. Anytime we'd go out of town, that would be like the top thing on our list was we'd have like 7 different coffee shops that we were going to go check out.
And then a lot of things happen over coffee. You know, like I know personally me, like my first big job was discussed over coffee, and then you meet other people. You know, they met their husband or wife, or you know, they made a big transition in life. Coffee is so easy to like, you know, I need to talk to you. Let's go grab a cup of coffee. You know what I
Do
mean?
you drink coffee?
Don't.
That was my
What
next
about
question.
tea?
I was sitting up there, I was like,
What about tea?
Two.
Okay, so there's just something that we've always connected on about like sitting on a porch or sitting on a patio or something and just sitting down and drinking something hot outside with good company.
Usually
you know?
when people have coffee, I have hot chocolate.
Okay,
You know,
that works too.
but either way, it
Just like a
forces
slow
you to
sip.
it forces you to slow down. You can't just guzzle down a hot
Yeah.
cup of coffee. You gotta take your time. You gotta sip it, and just like she said, take a pause for that brief moment.
And so that's very much so the idea behind this was like that pause that we found every time we would meet for coffee, trying to find a way to bring that into our everyday, and that's where we are.
So let me get a drink.
Okay. Hot chocolate?
That works. Do y'all do white chocolate, hot chocolate?
We don't have
All
white
right, that's
chocolate.
fine. That's fine.
What kind of milk would you like? You have whole milk, almond milk, and
Almond.
Almond? Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, how much?
No, you're good.
Listen, I like to support businesses.
I know, but we like
Okay?
to support. We like to
It's
support
on me.
people.
I appreciate
We
it.
find ourselves doing that a lot. We just really enjoy people coming by and like being able to talk with them, and so we're glad to have you guys out here.
Of course. That's one of our missions is to start conversations and keep conversations going about anything that's going on in the world right now. So, you know, during the pandemic, that put a pause for a lot of people to interact with one another. And we had the opportunity to be mobile. We're outside, so we didn't have to close. And, you know, we brought a little bit of that back to the community. So we thank y'all for coming back or coming out to see us today.
It's good. It's beautiful too.
Thank you.
It-
Thank you.
You
A lot of
know,
work.
eclectic. It's very, you know, it's like I love the innovation of like the way people are thinking about business now. They're like, it's not a monolith. You know, people are like, you know, I don't have to do this or that to be successful. And the fact that communities gravitate to it. You know, that people appreciate the effort that's put into this.
Definitely.
You know, like I can't look at this and not. And I've been in business 9 years, right? So I know what it was like when I first started in business, and you know, I'm nowhere near as successful as I'd like to be, right? But I appreciate every part of the grind. You know? I kill what I eat, you know, every day, and it's something that feels good about it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's exciting. We talk about all the time, like, I mean, like, growing up, there's no way we ever imagined like ownership of anything either.
So do you miss the other side at all ever?
Like where we were before.
Yeah.
I miss teaching for the sense that I miss kids. You know, I miss working with them, and during COVID, you know, I have a little one at home too, and so I couldn't I couldn't risk getting her exposed to something that I would find out in the community, but that was always the plan. That is, when I stopped teaching, I would immediately start some sort of mentorship role or working in various nonprofits or whatever to continue working with kids in a way that felt more authentic to me than in the classroom. But now that we're finding a little bit more normalcy, I can finally get back into that, because I do miss that. I miss working with kids and talking to them and loving them.
But Jasmine, you don't miss how broken
I
our
don't miss
educational
that.
systems
No.
are.
That was heartbreaking. Yeah.
That is hard.
It's heartbreaking to see how much they need emotionally that
Emotional
you know that you just are not allowed to give them.
And that's the crazy thing is, like, you know, teachers like her, I remember, you know, being in that particular environment where friends, including myself, we were going through things at home that none of our peers were going through. And then I still got to study for the standardized test, or I still got to try to meet these benchmarks. And it's like, I'm worried about specific things at home, you know, light, food, you know, things like that the other child, they're just ready to go play.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're thinking about all these things, and, you know, we say that, like she just said, we never thought we would be in a position to where this is ours. You know, whatever. Huh?
You miss banking?
The only thing I miss, man, is the learning aspect. I met so many interesting people from different aspects where I told everyone I treat any job like a university, and anybody who's been doing it longer than me, I take them to lunch, take them to coffee, and pick their brain. And I mean, it's free education if you think about it. You know, like, they went to school for X amount of years. I'm gonna talk to them, and somebody's in the classroom getting the information they're giving me for free. So that's the only thing I miss about it.
Freeloader.
What hours do you guys operate every day, and how many days a week?
We are typically out 6 days a week, and most days we're here from about 7:30 to 11:30, which is like the larger coffee hours. As again things are getting back to normalcy, we're extending that a bit, but the goal has always been, like, we leave pretty early, because then we get home to our kids on their lunch break from virtual school and kind of go about our day with that. And that's what's made it such a beautiful transition too, is that we could continue to like be there and support them through this, you know, weird time too.
They started with Justice for George Floyd, and it was like a conversation starter. Morris had one of their pouches, and their pouches says, "I'm vaxxed out now." And so they have a different message, a social justice message, and it's just been wonderful that, you know, starting these conversations around coffee and social justice. They had Joe Packs with Joe Biden and Kamala as well. And what I have been inspired by is that, you know, they took a little bit of something in their available resources, really started a business, ran that business, and kept their doors open during the pandemic, but also just being able to confront from their very little bit of influence, wherever they have, being able to confront and have those conversations, which are so important. And they're talking about how there were some customers who had a different spin on things, but they were able to have that conversation and talk about themselves. It's like, wow.
I just think it's dope that, like, they got a horse trailer, a generator, and a business. You can do it too. Like, don't tell me you can't make no money.
Making it happen, making it happen.
This is dope.
So many buildings that wasn't right here. Half of the things right here didn't exist 4 or 5 years ago. You know, I always say Charlotte in 10 years will be Atlanta, and then Greenville, South Carolina will be Charlotte in 10 years. And I mean, you think about Atlanta, how crazy it is. We're not far from it, the amount of people moving in here.
Well, see, I think so. I've been pushing this whole New Black South and the Progressive South, where, you know, black folks make up 15% of the population in the country, but we're spread out all over the country. And so when you look at issues of policing and all of that, how do you affect the system in the largest way possible is critical mass, right? And so if 46 million black people live in America, and then we just migrate back to the South, which is in essence where black people were matriculated into this country, oh no, wow, that's a workout, huh? The best seat is the last. Everybody's
At the
working
height
but
of
you.
the pandemic, that trolley pub was
Wow. So they get to drink while they're on there? That's dope.
I don't know why you want to drink
That's
while you work
exactly
out.
like
You sweating.
I would be somewhere in the corner, like you said, the back seat.
Yeah.
My turn. Switch out.
So, Louisiana's 34% black. We're the second blackest state in America. Mississippi is 37% black. If you think about the fact that black folks mostly vote Democrat, that the potential for us to have a real progressive movement is in the South. And through younger, more progressive-minded black and white people. But that I think that evolution has to be like, you got to till that ground. You know, you got to get people to be able to see what they can't see in the South, because, you know, even when I talk to people like in LA about moving south or in certain places, and they may say, oh, well, police brutality or racism, they're killing you in Minnesota, you know, in California, like it's Chicago, you know, Ohio. Like no matter what state you're in, this exists. And so if we want to deal with the problem, you then end up, instead of 3 black senators, throw one away, Tim Scott, because he's a Republican, you could have 16, right? It's really a numbers game. And how do we get our numbers to the way that allows us to have a country that really recognizes and appreciates all of its people, you know? Instead of negotiating with a bunch of guys that, like, my dad's 78, so like, I don't want to negotiate what's best for now with a guy who's like, your prime was 40 years ago, guy, before I was even born, you know?
And it's about, you know,
can we just send all our grandpas out of the decision-making section, right? That's it. Just not like, you know, I'm not gonna let my mom pick out my clothes, right? So I'm not gonna let you pick out who I vote for either.
And
you
it's
know?
about knowing what's going on right now. They're only, you know.
Here's the real problem with it. You want to transform something to what you think is acceptable, and you got the shortest time left. Right? Like you're on the shortest end of the stick. Can the people who have the longest path to go be a part of making the decision? Because now then we have to fix everything that you screwed up.
It's like when you're on your 2 weeks notice at a job.
You know, I'm gonna let the one leaving decide what's the next move for the company. No, that doesn't even make sense. You know, but that is how our government functions, you know. And one of the frustrations I have is with young people, like, I'm 35, so when I hear people say, like, you know, the system's rigged, I'm not voting and all of that stuff, it's like, you don't have a choice but to pay taxes, right? Like, the government is going to take your money. And so not making a decision with your tax dollars in voting is... Okay. Not allowing people, not voting is allowing your neighbor to decide what happens in your neighborhood, right?
And so much of that stems from people thinking that the only election that matters is the presidential election, and that's why they.
But that's because that's the election that we spend so much money on, right? Like if you think they talk about the president, like, truthfully, right? Okay, they talk about Joe every day. He ain't really doing nothing every day. Neither was Trump. You know, like there's not something happening every single day with this guy. And you don't have to tell me every move he makes, you know, but you can tell me what's happening in my community, the stuff that like really impacts me, you know. State legislatures are screwing us more than the federal government is right now.
And a lot of local individuals, they don't know that, because we talked about it this last election. It was like, so many people are unaware of what they should be voting for, because all they hear about is the president, and they think the president makes every decision. They're like, well, they're going to make it
whole. That's your city council member, right? If you're upset about curriculum in your school, that's your school board member and your state legislators, right? And so civics, like basic civics, is something that you know, they teach you things. I took civics, right? It was a half a credit class, and I think I took it my senior year or something like that. But it's a half a credit, so I spent one of the least amount of times in. And it's literally something that impacts more of my life than geometry. For me, you know. I just, you know, we're not teaching our kids what they really, you know, even the forethought of you guys saying, you never thought you would own something like this, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't talk to our kids about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You know,
We train them to go into getting a job, you know, and this is something that, you know, we both have children that we're able to communicate to our child. You know, if you want to go to college, we'll support that, you know, and then for me, it's like, if you don't, what's your plan? What do you want to do? You know, it's like, I know so many trades from my professional background, electricians, plumbers, who they charge over $100 an hour, and they have, I mean, their houses, their cars, nicer than mine, you know, and they don't have any student loan debt. They went to school for maybe 2 years, and they perfected their craft. But again, school system is teaching our kids, like, you gotta learn this, you gotta learn this. And just like you said, I haven't used geometry once in any executive role or profession I've been in. I guarantee I have not used it once.
addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication.
That's it.
Give me that, I can count my money.
And that's it. That's
And
it.
how to put it into a
That's
calculator.
it.
Basic
That's
math
it.
and how to read, that's what we need. And, you know, the school system, just like you guys were saying, there's so many other levels to that. Because I remember 2 really prominent teachers who, they cared, just like Jazz, they cared about my mental health. They knew what was going on at home, and they could sense that. You know, when I moved out at a very young age, they knew that, you know, and they're just like, how you still going to school? And again, I wasn't thinking about what party I'm going to, you know, I'm thinking what I gotta pay, how I'm gonna pay it, you know, where I'm gonna go to work at, you know what I'm saying? And that starts impacting me. Like, now I'm in this mindset where I gotta find a job. Don't think of anything else. I gotta finish school, gotta find a way to go to college and pay for it, you know? Now you accepting all the loans or anything that come to you because nobody else told you, hey, you know you gotta pay this back, right? I don't care how long they telling you got, you gonna pay it back. No one telling us. And if we teach these to our kids, take a minute to step back and like, all right, do I really want this kind of bill when I leave?
While
Like,
we have
I want
an
this.
Saddle with this debt for the rest of my life, just trying to have a better life.
Yeah, just teaching them what is debt. Like my son right now, hey, we're making spaghetti at home right now. All right, I want Chick-fil-A. Okay, you got Chick-fil-A money? I'll loan you $7, 3% interest. So when you get allowance on Friday, when I give you your 10, let's pull up your ledger. All right, you owe me this, you owe mama this.
And he really does.
And now,
do it,
and now
he
you
really
know,
does get
you
it.
left with $1.25. You're like, wait.
But his understanding of money, right?
Next
like
time, he's
they're-
like, I'm gonna eat that spaghetti at home.
I heard a preacher say one time that we don't respect money,
No,
right?
no.
And you know that I had to wrestle with that, you know, because at the time I was younger, and even when he said it, I was like, you know. But after about 2 years in business, I started realizing, like, oh, you got to respect every dollar that you earn and prioritize that to some degree. You know, all of us have things we want to have, things we want to, like, I'm debt free, right? I don't do things that, for multiple reasons. One, I piss a lot of people off, right? And being in business, when you upset people, it impacts your bottom line, right? And so I made a commitment that I'm never going to give up my voice for $1. And so I buy my car cash. I pay for everything that I have, furniture, anything I'm buying. I try to buy that stuff cash. And, you know, does it take me longer to get some of the things that I want? Yeah. But
it's yours.
when I have it, it's mine. You know, I don't have nobody calling if everybody pull their money away from me, I can go home and be in peace, right? Because I pay the light bill, baby.
Exactly.
you know, like, it's just, you know, don't go too high, don't go too low. You know, just somewhere in the middle.
We're definitely not debt free, but I mean that's always kind of.
I also
been,
didn't go to college.
Well, see, I unfortunately got sucked into it.
Yeah,
and
me
like
too.
You said,
Me too,
and
yeah.
when I started college, I had no idea that financial aid was a thing. I just thought that I had to work to put myself through college. And then when I got these loans, I'm like, oh, great, this is amazing. I've got all these loans. So now I've got all this student loan debt that's going to stay forever.
And it's just crazy. Like you said, respecting money, like even the stock market, you know, like teaching, like both of us, like teaching our individual children, like how to make your money make money. You know, like, okay, you want a PS5. My son's like, you know, when that came out, I had already told him about owning Sony. Like, what's a brand that you like? All right, if you want me to go give them my money, can we at least own a little bit of it? You can get a piece of that pie, Apple, you know? Now he understands, like, okay, Dad, I want these shoes. I'll take the money you've been putting in Nike, and I take a little bit of that, and and then a little bit I'm gonna get from grandma. So now I got my $70 for the shoes I want. And it's like, okay, cool. You're gonna make that back next week probably. And having them understanding that you don't have to be stuck in this consumerism, you know, where just buy it. Yeah, it's too many. It's too many. It's too many ways.
I really feel like, to some degree, school, especially like higher education, it low key takes the animal out of people. You know, that instinct that I gotta go get it. It kind of like, it's not, you know, some people have it regardless, right? But for some people it never fully kicks in, because I just know I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna be a lawyer, I'm gonna try cases, you know, and I'm gonna do that forever, right? Yeah. And then I meet people who are, you know, lawyers for 20 years that wish that, you know, they were doing something else, right? Yeah, they make good money, yeah, it pays the bill, but it's not fulfilling, you know? And so I just don't ever want to be there, you know? I don't ever want to be in a position where the work that I do does not fulfill me. I've been there before in my like 20s, and I refuse to live out my life like that.
And that's how we said with this right here. There was times, you know, it's like in the beginning, you know, like you said, you've been in business, you know, 9 years. There's days where it's like we're on a high, like, we did good today, you know, high fiving. A week go by and we're like looking out, we're like, y'all don't want no coffee? Like, what's going on?
What did
you know,
on Instagram? That's what
you know, and it's just
like,
like,
you post something crazy on Instagram again. I'm like,
and again, you know, we were talking to the senator, and we were just like, our pouches are our voice, and we place things on there that, you know, we'll look at our insights on Instagram, like, ooh, we lost a lot of people today. And
share some of the messages that were on your pouch.
yeah, so you know, we have Black Lives Matter. We started with, it started out lighthearted, like she said, 6 feet please, and then when George Floyd was murdered, you know, we had a serious conversation, you know, and it was like, we got to say something.
so we have a bunch of them, but we just put coffee in them. But it kind of became, like you said, our voice, and a way for us to let people know, first of all, where we stood as a business, what our values were, and it was kind of like, hey, if you're not accepting of this, then it's okay for us. You know, we don't want your money if you don't believe that Black Lives Matter, essentially.
And then, you know, like, even with the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, like, we want justice for these people. Like, this was wrong, and it created a lot of conversation for us, you know, and as we had the discussion, you know, I was telling her, like, look, we gotta be prepared for what may come of us. People may walk by, say things, you know, people may say things on the internet, and, you know, we made that decision, like, okay, we ready for it. Put our shields up. We're not going to cower behind something that we stand so strongly for, and that we want everybody in the world to be speaking out against. And that's really what really pushed us out. And I think the community respected that. Yeah.
Transformative economics. That's what that's about.
And I think a lot of these other shops, a lot of them can't say things like that. They can't put certain messages. They got investors. They got other people.
They can.
They can.
They choose
but
not
they
to.
choose not to, because
Yes.
how it's going to
Because
affect their bottom line.
yes.
But listen,
and that was the beautiful
listen.
thing about, this is our bottom line. We can make
Here's
that
the
choice
other
we
thing.
want to.
You don't know what money you're gonna get
Yes.
Exactly.
And I
because
do believe
you're
that.
too busy trying to hold on to racist dollars.
We have,
You know.
we have been very fortunate. If you go to our Instagram, you automatically know what we stand for. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There have been
Yeah.
people that will send us a message like, I have a picture of my daughter and Kamala Harris on our Instagram, and someone commented or DM'd it to us and was like, no, unfollow.
Bye.
And it's like, okay,
Bye.
you know, if you look at it, you automatically know where we stand, and you can come or you can go. And ultimately, I mean, our kids are here with us a lot of times too, and it's like, we want to be surrounded by people that give a damn. And, you know, while we want to be open to these conversations that can be transformative, at the same time, if you're coming here with ignorance or hate, we don't have the space or the energy for that.
Exactly.
I just think that, you know, you either want a society that respects and loves everybody, or you don't.
Or you don't.
And if you and you know, this larger corporations are already showing you that they have to bend, right? That the overwhelming majority of people want transformative things to happen in this country, and we got to be willing to use the power of our dollar to make people do the right thing. You know, we just we casually allow a lot of racism to exist because, you know, we just say, oh, we're not gonna bring any attention to it. We're just gonna do our own thing. You know.
When the pandemic hit, we went completely no cash, no card, no physical contact. So it really helped us with the pouches, because when we dropped the pouches, I mean, we were selling out within an hour. So this allowed us logistically to plan. People can schedule for tomorrow, so we can see like, okay, we got 40 pouch orders at 9, 9:30, and 10. So logistically, we can plan for that as well as supply. So it helps us out a lot.
So y'all don't do cash still?
We don't do cash. We take cash tips like right there, but right now we're still going away from cash. So.
I met this guy, Eric. Is it Eric Lewis? I don't think it's not Eric Lewis. Anyway, he founded Essence, right? I was at the Essence Music Festival one year, and because I started a media company and he started a media company, I asked him, I said, if you could leave me with one thing, what would it be? He said, cash is king, queen, and everything in between. Get your money, black man. And it has stuck with me ever since. Cash is king, queen, and everything in between.